60 Minutes Overtime.
Voilà des cartes d'identité.
These are ID cards that were made by me completely.
So you made everything on here?
Oui, oui.
This was 22nd of December, 1941.
I'm Catherine Davis, and I'm a producer at 60 Minutes. Adolfo Kaminsky is a French man, Argentinian Jew, who was recruited by the French resistance during the war because of his forgery skills.
June 1940, Hitler smashed through the Western defenses and overran France.
And so he became the chief forger of this Paris lab that provided fake documents for thousands of Jews during the war.
Is this real?
Non, c'est moi qui ai fabriqué.
No, I made that.
I can't tell what's real and what's fake.
Quand c'est vraiment impeccable.
When it's perfect, it's impossible to distinguish. That's the reason for being of behind forgeries. If you can recognize the difference, then it's poor work.
Were you always worried that you might get stopped by soldiers?
C'est-à-dire.
The soldiers weren't the most dangerous ones. It was the Gestapo.
I sent Anderson Cooper a 3-paragraph description of this story, asking him if he wanted to be involved. And he immediately replied, definitely, with like 5 exclamation points.
Encore une minute.
You know, it's so rare to find a story like this. It's on par with Schindler's List.
Là, j'ai eu du matériel.
I made this.
It's very startling to see the swastika.
Oui,
Yep. Yeah, I understand, but we saw it, and we actually saw it way too much.
I think this is one of the most fascinating things about his story. In August 44, after Paris was liberated, he was actually recruited by the French Secret Service. They needed fake documents for French spies who were being parachuted behind enemy lines.
So your father started forging Nazi documents?
Yes.
In order to try to document and find out where the concentration camps were?
Yes.
Particularly ones doing medical experiments?
Exactly. And
Sarah is the reason that we know about Adolfo. She is his daughter from his second marriage.
And for a spy, he had to do a lot of documents.
This is a Nazi document that you made?
Oui.
Yes, to be able to parachute people behind the German lines.
Et les perforations,
And these perforations here were done with a sewing machine.
You made that with a sewing machine?
Yep, a sewing machine and a syringe needle.
That's ingenious. After the war ended, did your father go back to a regular life?
No, no, he wanted to.
How long did he do it for?
It lasted almost 30 years.
Adolfo thought he was finished forging, but he wasn't. As his work was increasingly well known, he says he forged documents for many other people fleeing dictatorships. And he showed us some of those documents.
So all these are liberation movement.
And those include people who wanted to flee dictatorships in Portugal and Greece and Spain.
That was under the dictatorship of Franco.
And he also made documents for people who wanted to flee apartheid in South Africa. So a very long history of forging.
Venezuela. What did you use these for?
Liberation in Latin America.
Oh, okay.
His daughter really describes him as somebody who can't stand to see injustice. I think that did drive him. He certainly wasn't driven by money because, as he says, he never took any money for any of his work, which is why today he really lives a very modest life. He actually lives in public housing in Paris.
It's so interesting that he says he never accepted money for any of this. I mean, obviously, during World War II is one thing, but he needed money to live. He had this skill.
Yes, but then he was working as a photographer and trying to earn money like that.
He could have made a lot more money as a forger.
Yes, yes, but then he would have been working with people, with bad people, I mean.
Criminals.
Criminals, yes.
For him, this was a cause.
Yes, yes. And it had to be for free.